Hi, everybody.
Just doing some programming here, booking guests on the air, and
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well on this. What is it? It's Monday. It's Monday evening,
must be
allegedly.
Monday.
Must be Monday. You excited? The Alexa Bliss is returning tonight?
I'm fired up, bro. I'm fired up. I'm big on wrestling news sites running the story. It appears Alexa Bliss is coming back with the same character she had, which I didn't know was a story, but including some that used the headlines, the return of a character. And that character was the one she was just doing. So,
Is that
you know,
what
yeah, bro, that's happening. There's some sites that they're running that as a story. It's crazy.
I mean, I know people are like running it as like her tweet. I didn't actually like see her tweet to actually know like what it said, but
Yeah.
I did see that sites are running. Oh, Alexa Bliss is coming back, and I just assumed that they were gonna. I just assumed they were running as like the announcement that she was back, and of course she would have the same character.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the actual like content of the tweet was. I thought she just did the Jordan "I'm back," and people were like, "Alexa Bliss is back tonight."
I think it appears we're gonna get some. We're gonna get some like insane asylum vignettes. I feel,
Oh, I can't wait.
and like
Her,
that's gonna be a discourse, but
you think her and Bud Matt shot them together?
no, I don't. They might. I don't know. This is a review show, as far as I know.
Yeah, what are we reviewing? Wrestling? That sucks.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of wrestling.
That's unfortunate.
Battle of the Belts.
Yeah.
Total non-stop actions, hard to kill.
Yeah.
I actually had a good time watching wrestling this weekend, man. It was fun.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. The shows were good, right?
Yeah, I liked both shows. The Eddie Kingston match was incredible.
Yeah, you told
Watched.
me I had to watch that. I heard a lot of buzz for that,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, "Watch this so we can review it." I said, "Okay," so I watched that today.
Now think about what you just said. You heard buzz about a match on New Japan Strong. The power of Ed Kingston is out of control right now. We need to rein him in. Man's having 4.25 star matches on goddamn New Japan Strong. Nemesis
With, like,
that was taped. Yes,
no
month ago.
fans in the building.
Fuck it. They was loud for that match. Trust me, I watched the rest of the show, Jeremy. They was not quite as loud for TJP's latest. I should be back now.
Yeah, it was the visual of that show is just it's something else, right?
Well, they put the hard camera on the side where the fans are.
Yeah.
So you just see like the stage, the thing for it's like a theater, right?
Right.
Which was a choice. I mean, maybe you could have put the hard camera on the side of, it was interesting. Anyway, where would you like to start? Battle of the Belts or what was the other thing? Hard to Kill.
We can
They're both on at the same time.
We can start with Battle of the Belts.
Okay. Now the thing about this show is you have to kind of there's two conversations to have, right? Firstly, the show, what it was. Clearly, I think we can all agree we probably had something more grand in mind when we thought about Battle of the Belts and these quarterly specials.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a worthwhile conversation to have, but that's generally not what we do on this show. So, like, that is what it is. That's the way they went with it. They definitely prioritized the TBS premiere. So, we'll review it as a wrestling show, and then we can get into kind of the bigger topic if you would like. As a wrestling show, I thought it was pretty damn good. I mean, 3 matches that I liked. The middle one obviously being the weakest, but that was more because of the lack of heat than for lack of trying. I really like the Dustin match, even though it was weird. And I like the Brit match, but I do get that, like, I do understand, there's a lot of frustration with the way they agent those matches and all the cheating and all of the... I get it. It doesn't bother me as much as it does some people, but I understand it's kind of a problem. Match of the night, you would say, was which on the Battle of the Belts, Jeremy?
Dustin and Sammy.
Yeah, feels like that's a lock, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing, though.
this is one of those deals where I like really enjoyed this match, but like I'm accepting that it was very flawed structurally and like it was a really odd match in terms of the way they laid it out. I couldn't figure out, and maybe this is a compliment, or I'm not sure. I couldn't figure out if Dustin was selling or not, or he was just exhausted. He looked pretty tired.
Yeah.
Which fair, right? But they had like these weird deals where he slowed it down, and like Sammy didn't look completely aware what was going on. They both did the count out tease. He got some heat on Sammy's leg, which ultimately didn't mean much. Like it was a mess in terms of ideas. It wasn't like a concise, well thought out match, but I did enjoy it a lot. I'm very biased towards Dustin Rhodes, obviously, so I liked it. I thought it was the best match. Not sure how I feel about them doing a roll-up sequence for the finish after all of the shit they did before that. It feels like some Bob Van Dam in 1999 shit. I'm not sure how I feel about it. But I very much like the match. I'm assuming you were lower on it than I, Jeremy.
It was good. Dustin at this age is very weird in that he's obviously still like a tremendous pro wrestler.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be going out there in these styles of like the bull rope match. That was a good match. The Danielson match was great. I don't need to see him wrestling Guevara and doing Canadian destroyers through tables and kicking out of finishers and doing 13 crossroads that mean nothing and everything. I just don't need to. I don't need to see that from
That's
him.
fair.
And I guess that's my issue with it. Is it felt like they just did the Cody match, but they just had Dustin do it.
They may have done that. I don't know. Look, I don't think you're wrong. There was a lot of issues with it. I just enjoyed it. I can't help myself with Dustin.
It was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It was
flawed. I agree. But I love Dustin. I hope we get some more weird Dustin matches where it looks like he's going to like pass out in the first 2 minutes and then goes 15. So that was fun. Matt Sydal is a victim, unfortunately, of like we all think he's great. And absolutely, yes, book him in longer matches. But you have to creatively kind of earn that by like making people think he might win. And no one had any doubt as to what the result of this match was going to be.
Yeah.
And that's why it suffered, right? Like it was just cold. And they give him if you're going to book Sydal the way they do, unfortunately, it's going to limit how long you can put him in these matches. As good a worker as he is. And he's great. Very high on my Fleet 50, by the way. Great wrestler. But at some point, you beat a guy enough times on TV, you tell the audience where they're at, and you get what you get, I suppose. So that was fine. It is worth noting, because someone in the chat said it. They set up Garcia and Guevara, which will be good. I will be tempted to do some crazy shit there, but I understand that Sammy Guevara is obviously going to win, which is fine. What did you think about Ricky Starks and Matt Sydal?
Yeah, the crowd didn't care about this match, which was unfortunate because we love Ricky Starks. He's tremendous. I'm glad he finally got a match. I'm glad they did something with this FTW title. But the crowd didn't care. And like you said, Sydal, we know who he is. He's going to lose. And he lost. And that's what's going to happen here. It's through no fault of, I mean, I guess it is through the fault of, it's through no fault of the performers. It is through the fault of the booking and how they do this stuff. Is that like no one thought Sydal was going to win. He didn't. It's like, okay. And even Ricky, as much as we like him, he's not really on television. Like he's just on his own Rampage commentary and stuff. It's just like they haven't done anything with Ricky to make you even care about him, which is very unfortunate because I wish they would do more with him and they would give him more of an opportunity and put him in like an actual storyline. They sort of tried with the Dante Martin stuff, but then they dropped that for weeks and it's just, all right, what are we doing here? So crowd didn't care and I didn't care too much, but as a match, it was fine. Sydal's great. Ricky's great. Just there wasn't much to it.
Yeah. This feud with Leo and Dante needs a spark, right? And they've just been off too much. But the match mechanically was fine. It just didn't get over the way you'd like. But I agree with you. I think if you want to book Sydal in these kind of matches, which I understand why you would, he's great. you just gotta give him a little bit of cred, you know. You just gotta give him a little bit. That's all. Riho and Britt, Jeremy Lambert. Let me tell you something. There's a real case that Riho is like the most slept on wrestler in all of AEW.
She's great.
No one ever lists her when they talk about the best workers in the whole division, and she is 100% one of the best workers in the whole division.
Yeah.
She's better than many names that are regularly listed in that debate, in that conversation. She can sell unlike anyone else. She gets sympathy at the first sign of heat. The only problem with this deal is, and this has been a problem for the longest, and I keep saying it, but they just want to cheer Britt, man. Like, just turn Britt babyface when she loses the belt, you know?
Yeah.
I thought the match was good. I really did like it. This Jamie hater story, like, if the end game of this is Jamie as the babyface, I just think that's so dumb.
Yeah.
It might not be, right? I'm just sort of speculating. But, like, the people want to cheer Britt. I think you got to try her as a babyface worker after she loses the belt. I like the match. Riho is top tier, great pro wrestler. So I haven't really got anything negative to say about the actual match itself. Unfortunately, this initially suffered from people not buying Riho. By the end of it, she's so damn good. And Britt was good here too. People were biting on false finishes and shit, right? Like, to be honest, Jeremy, upon thought, this may have actually been the better match. Like, in terms of what it actually achieved out there, it probably was. They didn't have to do as much, horse shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I hate to say this, but just every one of these Brit matches just feels the same with these the interference or the shenanigans at the end. And it's like they always kick out or they move from the first stomp or whatever. It's just, I feel like if I've seen one, people are going to be very upset that when I say this, and I'm sorry right now. Unfortunately, no one watches these shows. Britt's run feels very Tamatonga G1, where it was the same bullshit every single time. And like, all right, cool. There was some novelty of it the first time. Like, yeah, Bullet Club doing their usual antics. And then by the 15th time you saw it, it's like, all right, I get it, guys. Can we not do something else? I don't think it does anything for Britt. Like, just have her beat some people. Like, you don't need to, like, the Abaddon match is like a clear example of just like, you didn't need all that interference nonsense in that match. Just have her beat Abaddon clean with all the weapons and stuff. I don't need all this interference every single match. I just don't.
I think it does worse for the baby faces because, I mean, the best example was Ty Conti not having Anna Jay at ringside. And it's like, Jesus, man. Like, how dumb do you want to make these baby faces look? I agree with you. I think you're wrong. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how you do. I saw Toby's Procedure asked. I think my kind of route here would be that Britt drops the belt and then you shoot some kind of angle with Jamie after that. I don't know, maybe I'm misreading that one. Like, to me, it kind of has the vibe of Jamie having enough of Britt's shit, which, like, feels like she's right, So that's why that one's to me a little bit. Jamie's obviously someone that you want to kind of get going with because she's losing a lot of matches because she's Britt's lackey right now, and she's better than that. So I don't know. I mean, it was cool. It was a nice match. It was cool to see the main event, the first special, and it looked like, from what I can gather, it did pretty good. The viewership did pretty good.
I don't think the official one's out yet. I think the Fast Nationals came out, but the final viewership's not out.
What was the Fast National?
A little over 500, I believe.
Oh, so not so good.
I could be completely wrong. Like, so somebody can correct me on that.
Okay.
But that's what I thought it was. The fact that the Fast National came out makes me believe like it wasn't that great because they don't.
I think it was better than that.
Unless it might have been. It might have been. I try not to be
the
too
Rampage.
Maybe.
That's fair. The Rampage number.
So
the Rampage number may have confused me. 683 is what Joel's saying. So
was the Fast National?
That's pretty good.
Okay, I guess that's good. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends what you're shooting for this show. But like, it wasn't a bomb. I guess is when I read it, I had my initial reaction. So, I liked it. I thought the show was good. Nice hour of wrestling. It 100% felt like an extra Rampage. But you need to realize that I love Rampage and think it's better than Dynamite most weeks, especially this week.
Yeah.
So, like, I ain't really mad at it. I do get, though, people that were flat on it. Like, I completely understand why, because it just felt like a kind of weird championship edition of Rampage, you know? And hopefully, Joel says 659. I mean, that's pretty good. That probably gets to 700. I think that's pretty good. Hopefully, these shows have kind of more like allure and, you know, gravity moving forward. In their defense, and this isn't actually, I think they could have still done much better. I think there's more to this story than we know. It was a weird week to have this show, right? Like,
Yeah.
the one thing is that I don't get why they couldn't have done Jungle Boy, and I think Jungle Boy winning the belt on this would have been a big deal for that.
I think they should have done that as well. Like if you're gonna do a title change, I get they wanted to cap off TBS with something like great, but at the same time you could have you had Danielson and Hangman on that show. You didn't need too much more to make that show feel like a big deal.
Yeah.
Like you had that. You could have done the Britt Riho match at the end of that show, and people might have been upset, but that's a big spot for them to main event the first TBS show and everything. You could have done that match there, swapped out, done the Jungle Boy match here, and then you would have made this event feel special because it did feel like it's just, okay, here's an hour edition of Rampage, and cool, there's titles on the line. Like this is not their fault, but one title got changed over because of Cody in the protocol and everything.
Yes, that was tough. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, but I don't know, like, let's say the Cody match happens and it's the same match that it was and Cody wins. Like, does that make it feel like it was Cody and Sammy? It's not like this was this fresh match that we hadn't seen literally 2 weeks ago.
Was Codeman gonna win though?
I think so.
Because I know that our friend Sean Ross at Fightful.com was very fired up that it was the other way. So, you know, if this show was supposed to go off there with Sammy winning it back, my response to that generally would be, why did they do any of that?
Yeah, that would be my issue. Is like, then why did they do that title switch in the first place?
Yeah.
Like, then because I don't think they added enough to the story in the 2 weeks here that made that make any type of sense.
Yeah, it's sloppy. I think we all wanted it to be a bigger deal, and hopefully the next one will be. I liked it for what it was. You know, hopefully they can build on it and do better next time. Next week's Dynamite show looks good. The lineup looks good. The matches aren't really my concern right now. I want to see a nice, crisp episode of Dynamite that doesn't make me like confused 4 times. That's the target for this week. Hopefully that happens because I would like to get back to very much enjoying that show. But nonetheless, Battle of the Belts, I liked it. I'd probably give it a 6.5, 7 around there. 6. It's fine.
7.
Right?
It was a nice, easy watch. Any type of hour wrestling show where you just get like good matches, that's tough to really complain about that, right?
Yeah, Rampage. Like honestly, it sounds like I'm doing a bit, but I thought it's hard to say Rampage was better than Dynamite because Dynamite had Bryan and Hangman. Yeah, but I just find it to be such a more like palatable viewing experience. You know, like it's just so neat by comparison. Yeah, I do agree with Solo Domo. My God, who points out like the Daniel Garcia thing kind of like I get it. Like, I understand they were like he hates the inner circle and stuff, but like it was really came out of left field, didn't it? It was like, well, okay, I guess that's what he's doing now. Maybe it'll be a one-off. We shall see. Probably will be actually. Yeah, I think that's all for the Saturday Fight Night Battle of the Belts. Let's move to the
before we get into Hard to Kill. Let me do a couple super chats here. JJ says, "Hello, favorite Big Stars. Mini victory laps was taken. TNA is great. Told everyone Josh and Alexander will still be doing good. Terrific show. Love you." Guys, you can send your super chats. You can send in your bobber chats at humperchats.com, but they're really bobber chats. You can do that. Give us your money. Give us all your money. Please give us your money.
How do bobber chats work? Like,
I don't know.
Who are they through? Like, how does that work?
It's through Stream Elements.
My God, I need to investigate because I'm a YouTuber now. Did you know that?
It's through like Stream Labs, not Stream Elements. Sorry, it's through Stream Labs. We actually get a better percentage of those. So,
my God,
if that's a better way. I mean, look, we love any support you guys give us. We appreciate it. We do get a better percentage off of the Streamlabs than we do off of the YouTube because YouTube takes so much, like greedy bastards.
Pieces of shit.
take all of us. Yes. Jay Blood says they missed out on a double turn if Britt and Sheeta after DMD won the title. Boss Sheeta needs that faction too.
I agree. That was really weird when Britt won the belt and her family was there and she hugged Tony Schiavone and she was still a heel after. She did a feud with Nyla where she was like a babyface and then she went back. It was weird. I don't know, man. It's not been a great reign, let's be honest about it. I'll tell you though, this Hard to Kill was pretty great. This was a really fun pay-per-view. And in fear of being hyperbolic, is almost certainly in the top 5 Impact Wrestling TNA pay-per-views ever. I'm not doing a bit when I say that. Go back and watch those old shows. No, there weren't a lot of bad here. In fact, dare I say, there was not any bad on this show, Jeremy Lambert, which in Impact Wrestling is a real feat. What would you say? Let's not do this like match by match. We'll just kind of talk broadly. What would you say was the match of the night on Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill?
I really like the Ultimate X match. I like the main event. I really liked Alexander and Jonah.
Yes.
And Josh Alexander. I know JJ wants to take his victory laps, and like Jonah's really good as well. I might go Alexander and Jonah because I had some gripes with the main event.
Wait, you didn't mention Gresh and Chris Sabin.
Oh fuck yeah, Gresham and Sabin.
That was my pick.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say about that match, they didn't fully use the pure rules.
Yeah.
But I get that because the Impact fan get very, very confused. You know? Very, very confused. So I understand that. He's fucking incredible, Jonathan Gresham. Let me tell you.
He's so good.
He's like
so good.
I was actually really intrigued to see him in this setting because it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, let's see how he goes out there and gets over in front of a different audience. Because the Impact audience is like weirdly singular. Like they're not so much like the hot indie fan. Does that make sense? Like they watch that product closely. So I was like, this will be interesting to see how Gresham will get over because it could be a preview of stuff to come in terms of Gresham and where he ends up this year. And brother, if you'd never seen him wrestle before, you'd have left that being like, he's incredible. Everything he did he's just so good, man. Yeah. It's like he's not only is there a lot of thought into his matches, which I appreciate because I'm a nerd, but his execution is so good. Like even early on when they were trading arm drags and he's just like whipping these things, man. Like he's the snap in everything he does. Oh my god. Dude just he don't phone it in. He gives you more than what more than what you expect him. And Sabin, seriously, like
still tremendous.
Yeah. I'll go further than that. Not only is he still, I think he's better now than he's been in like years.
That's
the
fair.
last year of Chris Sabin since Shelley had to, he went off and did his thing when he got pulled out of the last year Hard to Kill. Sabin's been a singles. I think he's been more consistent in this last year than he has been probably since like the height of Motor City Machine Guns. Like he's having good matches at every turn. A great match with Josh Alexander, a great match with Moose at a pay-per-view last year. That dude is really good, and he was great in this match. This was awesome. I thought this was the best match on the show, personally. So,
I apologize to Jonathan Gresham and Chris Sabin.
You should.
Yeah, I know. That's my fault. I still liked Alexander and Jonah a little bit better. I really like Macklin and Trey Miguel. That was really good. Steve Macklin.
He's fucking good.
Who fucking knew that this guy was this? I mean, his peers knew. His peers like really always praise him. Like, you guys, Steve Macklin, like love working with that guy. He's great. And obviously you never really got to see it in WWE. We've seen it thus far in Impact, but like we really saw it even more in this show. Like that dude's tremendous.
He's a hell of a pro wrestler. I mean, just great physicality, and like he has this kind of, he's the kind of wrestler that honestly the industry has like, they've got too stylish for, like people lose sight of how fun it is to just have a heel like him. Oracle said, when I described him, Oracle's response to me was Impact's Sheamus. And I was like, you know what? That ain't half bad. And here's the thing. Now that he's out of the X division, Macklin's going to be kind of like, if you give me Steve Macklin and Josh Alexander, I'm in on this. There's some pieces here, man. Especially if you look at that pre-show match. I didn't watch it, but I saw the lineup. And like, it's interesting, the idea of slotting him up the card, because I actually liked the world title match on this show quite a bit. However, it's clear that in terms of interest, that was like lower than you'd like.
Yeah.
But Macklin's just a badass, man. I really like the match with Trey Miguel. That was up there. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to what else because I want to, we actually mentioned almost every match on the cards. We should probably now, take a pause. So I must say, because this is the one match that hasn't come up, and I need to give some love to it. That fucking hardcore war was incredible.
Yeah, it was
an absolute hoot, man. Like I'm not saying it was like good in the traditional sense, like you give it like 4-star. I'm not saying that, but I am telling you that I thoroughly enjoyed this bullshit. Like Machine Gun coming out of like a golf club for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Joe Doran didn't have a weapon because he doesn't need one. He is the weapon, they said. Like it was fun, and they even did like an 80s promo before the baby faces.
They achieved what they were going for, right?
Yes.
Is you think hardcore war, and I don't know if you listened to Talking Shop today, Joseph, but I did.
Not yet.
Tom Phillips, Tom Hannafin was on it, and it was recorded after Hard to Kill because Heath was on it, or not Heath, Myers was on it, and they were talking about the match, and of course Gallows and Anderson and Hannafin, and like you think hardcore war. Like you think, oh, this has got to be like serious. They're out to murder each other type of things. And they just decided, let's just do some like bullshit in this hardcore war. And Hannafin was talking about like in WWE, you got to sell this like no matter what. It's like, oh, this is serious. This is a blood feud type thing. And he's like, you guys said like this is what we're gonna do. And I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And that's how I was allowed to sell it. And like that's exactly what he did. And so it worked like great. Like it was fantastic. Like I thought it achieved what it needed to achieve.
25-minute runtime for that is incredible. Booker of the Year level shit, man. Like you can only respect giving Gresham 12 and giving that 25 and just live with the consequences, brother. Seriously though, all of the fun, all the silliness, and you may read it and go, oh God, I'm not watching that. There were quietly some great performances in this match. Like Rich Swann was awesome in this match.
Yeah.
Eric Young, someone needs to sit him down. He cares far too much. He has way too much pride as a professional. I mean, he was just getting the shit kicked out of him. The pole driver he pulled off, where he looked like he was concerned he was going to kill Eddie Edwards, who was also awesome in this match. Hit 2 divers where he nearly went into the crowd. Just fun bullshit pro wrestling. Really, really did enjoy it. Now, I want to go back to what you mentioned earlier because I do have some apologies here, or an apology. I thought Jonah was really good against Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
Wrestled like a big man. Wasn't like limiting himself to a degree where it wasn't fun to watch, but he kind of, I've had my issues with the way he kind of wrestles like a big, like he's like a cuddly bear, and he was like a monster here, which was nice, and Josh's selling only helped that. I like the kind of running plot that like every time he would just get a little bit arrogant, it would make him pay. Josh, because he's so tenacious and intense. That match was really damn good. You're right. That was really good. Josh Alexander is
fucking great.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like JJ was victory lapping, and I appreciate it. I'm happy for JJ. But I don't know if I buy that thing about the title. Like, I feel like this could have just been the world title match.
Yeah, I do think it's still bullshit the way they booked that for heat or whatever. Because I didn't have the triple threat match was probably better than I expected it to be. Yeah. I mean, the performers are fine in that match, but it's just like you look at that lineup, it's like who could care? And just Moose as the champion doesn't do a whole lot for me. And yeah, this could have easily been the title match between Alexander and Jonah. You keep Moose kind of with that call your shot thing and kind of figure it out for later. Just you didn't need to step on Alexander's moment for that. And maybe when he wins it back, assuming he wins it back, I guess their next pay-per-view is Rebellion in April. Maybe they're going that route with Moose.
I think so.
Alexander there. So maybe when he wins it back at Rebellion in April, it will feel like a big deal. But I don't know. I wouldn't have done it.
I'll be intrigued to see the pay-per-view buy rate for this show. Rebellion, if they do run Moose and Josh, and then the real thing that'll be interesting is how does Josh perform when he is the world champion? Because from the way they book Josh, I think as champion he's going to be like an ace. I think he's going to have awesome matches with everyone. So I kind of doubt that needed that kind of heat play to get there. But we'll see. Maybe it pops. Maybe when they do the match, it'll pop a number. I don't know. I mean, I doubt it, but we shall see. They've earned my trust for a week. I'm going to give it to them.
But I feel like this is always the story coming out in Impact's like their fucking pay-per-view ruled, and then it's like no one actually watches the television.
This one was, you're right, and it doesn't change the fact people are going to not watch the TV because this is like a tale as old as time. Like you watch the show, you're like, this is kind of interesting, and then they go do TV and it fades. However, this was better than usual, right? Like this wasn't just the usual Impact had a fun pay. This was like actually good in a wrestling sense, which God bless. Let's talk about it quickly while we kind of glossed over it there. They kind of had like an attitude era main event, didn't they? Moose, Morrissey, and they had like all the overbooking. And like I wasn't watching live, but I was on my timeline briefly. I saw people being mad about it. And when I watched it, I was like, I kind of think it worked, all that bullshit. Like the crowd loved it.
I mean, what do you really want to do with these three? You know, like you're only doing so much with Moose, Morrissey, and Cardona.
Right. And they all worked hard, right? Like
they did. They did. I think they booked it the right way for those three. I don't think you weren't going to go in there and try to recreate Styles, Joe, and Daniels or anything. So
I wish
they should have done that match spot for spot.
Yes.
To see how it worked out.
Yes, they should. No, I agree. I think sometimes, look, I get it, we all like different things, but I think sometimes people get obsessed with like overbooking because it was so overdone once upon a time. People get so scared of it. And it's like, we kind of worked here. People popped you. When Cardona got that like roll up on Moose, people thought that was going to be the finish. There was some good shit here. And to their credit, man, like you and I we didn't watch it close enough to be fired up. But like it did appear they did a good job with this build on TV.
Yeah.
You know, I watched the go home and like there was some nice stuff. And I'm not really disagreeing with you on Moose, but like it was better if you were watching the show than like it looked on paper. Does that make sense? Like on paper, you saw that main event and it was like, well, shit. Like that ain't looking too exciting. In reality, they did a nice job with it, I thought. So thumbs up in that regard. Where else have we got to go here? Ultimate X.
Yeah, Women's Ultimate X.
I mean, I thought this did a really good job of not. These matches can be kind of like an adventure in like trying too much to the point where it becomes like I lose my. I don't think they did that at all. It was done in a way where everyone got like a nice moment to shine.
Yeah.
Without running into the ground. Like Lady Frost's big moonsault deal was incredible. That looked spectacular. I haven't seen enough of her to know that was like her thing, something like that. So that popped me huge. Jordan Grace is very, very strong, breaking news. And the right person won because Tasha Steelz, I've been high on for the longest. Like I think she's got all the tools to be a real player. So I think I would like to see Mickey and Tasha Steelz as a program. I think that could be really, really good. I know they're doing the match, but I want it to be like, I'd like to see more than that. So I like the old mix. You said you liked it too, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I think they didn't get overly ambitious with some stuff, and you could tell it was legitimately the first ever one. Yeah. You could tell there was some like timing issues of figuring out when the climbing. There was one spot. I remember fully who was involved, but I know Chelsea was involved in it, and it looked a little.
Yeah, it was weird,
yeah. It was a little weird, but it's the first time they're in this match. It's a tough spot, and I thought they did the most that they could. And like you said, everyone got to shine. They didn't try to do anything like too crazy that was out of their limit to stretch everything. Jordan Grace, she's so good. I love watching Jordan Grace wrestle. And then Tasha Steelz winning was I think the right call on that to move into the program with Mickey, because I'm with you, Tasha. There's something there with her if they want to go full in with her, and it seems like based on this, they're looking to make that move.
I think that's the plan for sure. I think it's really interesting. I've actually talked about this quite a bit over the last year and change, maybe, because we used to review, especially when we were on Twitch, we'd do it often. The Impact specials. monthly specials on Impact Plus when they're in the
Yeah.
empty building. And I would always say to you, look, these shows may not get no hype. They may be an issue promotion-wise, but they are really well agented. And I don't know who agents the Impact shows, but I'm not doing a bit when I say, while the matches aren't always as good as this, very, very seldom have I seen an Impact special, Impact pay-per-view match fall apart. Like completely, they generally, whoever produces their matches, generally does a good job of kind of colouring within the lines enough that you position performers to succeed. So I think this show, it was nice to see them get the kind of results that make people talk about that, because I'm the kind of dog that pops through it when it's a 2 3/4 star match. So it was nice to get, some stuff that got. I'll be honest with you, I don't think there was any classics on this show. I don't think that's being unfair. But the point of it was a really, really easy watch. I guess the only thing we haven't talked about is the main event, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, look, here's the deal with the main event. I liked it. I think its biggest problem was, and this is hilarious after the speech I just gave, but it's true, they followed like 2 matches that had violence.
Yeah.
And that makes it less striking when you see it, because hardcore war, triple threat, main event, it's like, that's a lot. I thought it was good. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to. When Bob was texting me when this was happening, and he was like having an event, he was so fired up about it. I liked it. Mickey's fucking a legend, and it was a nice match. I don't think this is really Deonna's bag, but I thought she'd give it a good go. And I guess what I'm saying is, ultimately, I liked it. I thought it had many things going against it. One being they did the actual Texas Deathmatch stipulation, which should be banned from all nations of the world.
Yeah. I hate that step.
Yeah, it's brutal. Again, Goblet, it is the actual, that's what that match was, but it sucks. So there's a lot of limitations there, but I ultimately liked it and thought it delivered as the main event. And it was certainly violent. I mean, there was blood and thumbtacks and all that good shit. So I liked it.
I have the same complaints as you. Is they followed 2 hardcore matches, and so that makes it a little difficult. They did differentiate it enough. Obviously, stipulation. The problem is I don't like that stipulation. It's just tough to create drama with that. It's the same reason I hate the last man standing stipulation. It's so tough to create drama when you're doing those stipulations. And look, bless them, that finish was rough. It was just it was just a rough looking finish, and I think ultimately that kind of hurt things. But otherwise, both women they did good. They certainly went out there, and they actually I think were a little ambitious, and I don't fault them for that. That's right. Mickie James and Deonna Purrazzo. What do you want to do? But it's not their forte. Like you said it with Deonna. That's just, it's not really her forte. And she gave it a good go at it. Mickie had the same thing. I think Mickie is a little bit more suited for it, but it's not fully Deonna's forte. It was good. I'm not trying to sound like I just completely hated this match or anything. It was good. It was certainly entertaining. But I guess as the main event and for these 2, I was just hoping it would be a little bit better and a little bit more crisp. And it was a little rough at times. And, maybe that appeals for some people of oh, well, it had a grit to it. Edge would have loved this shit. It had a grit to it.
Looked like a real fight, brother.
Yeah. For me, I was just man, I just wish some stuff looked a little better and looked a little bit crisper.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just saw Tope Suicida said Mickie is his GOAT in the women's wrestling landscape. I'm not educated on the great, the great Joshi wrestlers. I haven't seen enough. I've watched some on Patreon with our audience and shooting them to watch more because I missed one of those shows. So I'm not a good voice on this at all. No clue. I will say that when it comes to the US scene, Mickie isn't brought up enough in that discussion.
Yeah.
There are names that are brought up very often. I think Mickey's kind of objectively better than that were peers of hers. Heel, babyface, pure babyface that fights from underneath, crazy heel, longevity. She's
stuff outside of just in-ring performances. I know a lot of people don't mention that stuff. But
yes.
Shit. I mean, let's talk about it. Mickie James is going to be in the Rumble. What the fuck? And
also, in terms of outside the ring, beyond even if you want to go more literal, hell of a promo.
Yeah.
One of the better promo. So you're absolutely right. The Rumble thing, listen, I'm going to get this is me being as honest and transparent as I can be. if your response to the Rumble thing is mad at Mickie James, I think you've lost it. I'm sorry. I think you've lost it in this war of brand supremacy and tribalism. It's a booking, brothers. She's taken a booking. She got the bag to be in the Rumble. This is only months after they didn't think she was good enough to be on the roster, and she's so great. She's got over again. She's reinvented herself again. She's a natural fit for the Rumble. Not only that, she has more buzz than the Bellas and Lita.
Dude, that was the thing. Yeah. Is like they announced the Bellas, and like I kind of thought this was the big story of everything. Because they said they were retired, they were never coming back or whatever. Nikki said that like she was never going to wrestle again and everything, and I didn't know how much truth there was to it, but by all accounts, it seemed like it. But online, like all anybody was talking about was Mickie. They didn't give a shit that the Bellas were coming back, and I thought that the Bellas coming back was a pretty big deal. Like no one cared about that. It was Mickie. She needs to do a bit where like after the Rumble, she posts a picture of the trash bag, but it's just full of money after that shit.
She's great, man. Like the amount of times people have thought she was done, and she just goes again, right? Like it's no time to waste. Just get back at it, and yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting how they use her in that, because they do certain things a certain way, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I don't think she's coming out with like the Impact title or anything. Obviously, they have no problem. At least McAfee doesn't have an issue mentioning she's the Impact champion, and so I think that'll get a mention. Is she going to be tossed immediately? I don't know. I don't think so. I think she'll actually have like kind of a decent-ish showing.
I hope so. I mean, the one thing I will say about the Impact stuff, and I know it's different because it's the network, but like they're a table for 3 episodes where they talk about TNA like exclusively. They show footage and they say, on behalf of TNA, please subscribe to Impact Plus. Like, I didn't think it was. I get why it's kind of weird, but like I didn't think it was that crazy. Now, if we're talking about a full-time, long-term partnership between the World Wrestling Federation and Impact Wrestling, this is going to be the greatest year in wrestling history, because that would be incredible. Like Brian Myers shows up on a random Raw to work Seth Rollins. They do like the was it 97 when they did the angle with ECW where they invaded Raw? Imagine them doing that with this Impact crew. Oh, it would be incredible.
It's just all the dudes they released just coming back trying to get their spots back.
Just like you shot, AJ's in the middle of the ring and Omos, he's like standing over him. Gallows and Anderson hit the ring and just fucking put the boots to him for 5 seconds before he chops them to the floor. It'd be awesome. I'm in on it, man. I don't, do it in like Nashville. And you're like, this is TNA country, man. Jeff Jarrett's in the crowd and stuff. There's a lot to be done here, is what I'm saying, in terms of content. So I'm in on it. I think it's fun. In all seriousness, Hardskill was a big win for Impact. Hopefully they can build on it. Whether they will or not, we'll see. There's a bigger topic here, Jeremy. We talked about this on the Late Night Grin.
Well, real quickly.
Okay.
Shell says that I missed the Tasha talk. You didn't. This was sent before we started. This was sent before we even started our Hard to Kill review.
My God.
So, yeah. JJ says, all hail Scott D'Amore, best booker right now.
He's a good booker, man. Oracle, he said he's a very good booker earlier on Friday. God bless him. He was fired up. Here's the deal. I talked about this. Here he is, Bobby.
What's up, guys?
How are you, pal?
I'm well. How are you?
Very, very good. Very good. So Bob knows this because he was there. Allegedly, his eyes were very, very, very close to shut. I'm fascinated. I mean, fascinated by a company going after this power couple of Lord Steven Regal and Samoa Joe. From a front office perspective, I watched this show and I was like, the answer's right in front of me. It's Impact Wrestling. Like, if you could get like 4 matches out of Samoa Joe a year, you get Regal as your head executive. You don't fire Scott. You do like the Elton brand, where it's like, you can still work here. Like you can book it, right? I don't care. I'm intrigued by this. I was talking on Friday about it. I think as much as we all expect both these dudes to go to AEW, because that's the way wrestling works right now, God, wouldn't it rule if they were like recruited by one company together? Think of the roles them 2 dudes can fill at once, right? Like, It's interesting. I'm not saying Impact's going to do it. I'm just saying it's certainly something to pop and grin at.
I loved your tweet of like Joe gets released, he's free again, he's just gonna go back to WWE through Impact.
Yeah,
I'm with you that it's a lot more intriguing to give these guys like a significant power role in a company like an Impact. I don't think NWA is gonna do it. I don't know what ROH has in store.
I do.
Yeah.
You know my one for that, Jeremy? I'm fired up for that too.
No.
Gabe's coming home, brother.
Oh.
He's coming. I did like a half an hour segment about this on Friday. I was so excited. He's coming home.
I would much rather see that than just, all right, here's Regal as another hand backstage in AEW doing that. He's with Malenko and Arn and Tully filling that role that they've got enough people to fill. And here's Joe just working whatever he wants to work. I still think Joe to AEW. I mean, maybe this time around it becomes a thing because they just offer him the most, and Joe is a businessman. But the fact that he didn't go there, and you said it, Joseph, like the fact that he didn't go there the first time, and like he immediately, once NXT called, then it's like, oh yeah, scouting role, and I only got to wrestle a handful of times. Yeah, I'll take that instead of going out there and doing these big battles that everyone wants me to do in AEW.
There is one big difference though, right? CM Punk's in AEW now. And you and I can have as many concerns as we want about what that match looks like in 2022.
Yeah.
If there is a match in the world that will get that fire lit under Joe, you imagine that on national TV, them two cutting a promo, the history. Yeah. Now, my pitch, and I've said this elsewhere, and I'm sticking to it, I think there is big money to be made in an angle, even if Joe can't wrestle, where he brings Bryan and Punk together, and they're a heel faction.
Yeah.
The golden generation of professional wrestling, you know, like this kind of, this trio, this iconic trio of the defining the era that eventually set the stage for AEW. So there's so much good TV you can do with Joe, even if he can't wrestle. And that's why the Regal thing interests me, is because head coach, both of them can fill that role. Lead color commentator, both of them can fill that role. Best manager on the roster. Joe, you may be able to get matches out of. Regal, I think we can agree that's probably gone, right?
Yeah.
Both of them are happy to scout. Both of them have incredible network of people and immense respect in the industry. Man, is it a time. I said it on Thursday. If there's a dude in the world with money that wants to get into wrestling, you're about to find out, because they'll be hitting up Regal because he's the guy for that job. Like
Freddie Prinze.
Yeah, maybe. People were flaming him today. Did you see that? He was getting the shit kicked out of him on Twitter.
What Freddie do?
He wants AEW to like an all-woman's show, and people are like, go fuck yourself. You piece of shit. Yeah. Anyway, Bob, what do you think?
No, I think you're onto something. Like, I think Impact probably does make a lot of sense for both of them, but like they probably will just end up, at least Joe will probably end up at AEW this time. Like, I don't know that they're going to be a package deal, but if you wanted to kind of shake things up, make things interesting, yeah, giving them like a lot of responsibility in your company is the smart thing to do.
Yeah, and look, let's be clear. This is very important. I say this because people were going crazy in the comments recently. So let me say this. It's very important. You're nuts if you think there's a Samoa Joe fan. I'm more excited to watch him wrestle Jonah and the gang than I am like Eddie Kingston. Like, I'm all in on him in the fleet. I'm just saying from an industry perspective, it would be interesting, you know? Because like I was saying to Bob, whether you think Joe's watched or not, he's such a bigger star than like these guys that work for Impact and such, you know? Like he's on a different level. So if you can get him in the ring, his value is huge elsewhere. In AEW, I think it's the Punk match or something with Punk, whatever that looks like. I think Kingston's a natural. I don't think that's my bias speaking. I think that's just kind of an obvious, like, big lads that cut great promos, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to talk about with Joe, and we'll get into that over the coming months, I'm sure. Bob, we talked about Hard to Kill front to back, but like, give us your overarching thoughts. I know you watched the show live, right?
Yeah, no, it ruled. You know, I was looking forward to it. I thought, Impact actually has something here, and then they stuck the landing, didn't screw it up along the way, and it's good stuff, man. Mickey and Deanna, just a hell of a match, and I really liked what they did. I really liked it throughout. Sabin and Gresham, obviously very good as well, but really no complaints.
Yeah, it was honestly, and again, it may be not a show with any classics that you're going to put in your spreadsheet at the end of the year, but like it had a lot of good and no real bad, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking, even the Hardcore War, which was probably the furthest from good in a sort of, nerdy sense, was fun. There was a lot of fucking weapons and shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool to see. Oracle was doing 95 watch in the over on the Grin, and he was describing to us, Jeremy, what ECW's role was at the time. And we have talked about it before, you and I. As he described it, I think we all realised in real time that that is actually what Impact is now. There's a place where someone like Steve Macklin can reinvent themselves. It's a place where Deonna Purrazzo can come, leave a star that she didn't enter. There's a real value to Impact being where it is forever, okay? I think my frustration at times is I don't think they always help themselves. I think there's actually room to grow here. Now, they're limited, right? That TV deal's like, it is what it is. They're not going to be doing 500,000 viewers anytime soon. But there are moments where you look at this roster and you can dunk on it for the rest of the year, but there'll be one time, two time every once in a while. You'll look at this pay-per-view lineup and go, well, I mean, that's some pretty good stuff there. There's some pretty good guys there. You look at the pre-show and you see Bay and Austin and Speedball, and it's like, damn. There's some stuff to be excited about in Impact. I don't know if they're going to ever capitalize on it in their current form. Seems unlikely at this point. I think we've got enough years of evidence to suggest it's not happening.
Yeah.
But even as is, I think it's cool that they're, still going, producing good wrestling and, doing their thing, man. Because let's be honest, sorry, Bob, but just to be quite frank, this is a place where some dudes can work that wouldn't be particularly popular elsewhere. Like, this isn't the place where the hot indie guy works. There are guys that just come from WWTV and just do the same gig on that. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Bob, my bad, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and it's like, am I going to watch the weekly TV? Probably not. But, that's not really... I'll watch more of their pay-per-views, probably. Like, they kind of hooked me. Like, if they can put something out that's equal to this for their next show, I'll watch it again. Like, I just, I don't want to watch more wrestling TV every week. But, they can win me over at some point. I mean, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but, I think they deserve a little more credit than they're getting.
I think the big key for them next is getting people to watch the Impact Plus specials. There is a distinct difference in the interest in the actual pay-per-views and the specials, and that feels like something they can defeat. Now, I'm not saying it will be as good as this, but, listen, you got until April until Ring of Honor are back. Get as many dates on Gresham as you can get, man.
We didn't even mention the ROH invasion on Impact.
Well, try to be positive here, Oh my God, it's Vincent. I was like, myself, Vincent.
PCO's doing his crazy dive. Mike Bennett, he's back in the Impact zone.
OGK are a good fit there. They haven't got enough good teams. Bless PCO, him and Vincent Lane. I ain't exactly chanting Ring of Honor from up. That's just, that was a distinctly Impact angle, but you get what you get, I suppose.
They're running head-to-head WrestleMania weekend, too. Supercard of Honor and Impact's running a special that same time.
That'll probably be taped in, February. Don't worry.
I'm pretty sure it's live. Pretty sure.
The Impact one?
Yeah.
My God, 2 live specials from those 2 promotions? With fans, real people?
Where's Gresham going to work? Is he going to work an ROH show or the Impact show?
I've got a pretty good idea. Speaking of such, and this has not been discussed, but I'm going to just throw out there now. I think we should, tomorrow, with the great Steven Jensen, I think we should, sit down and try to analyze what this should look like, this Ring of Honor thing. Imagine we've been put in positions of power. It's actually figure it out, not even too much from the talent perspective, but now that we know for sure it's happening, this is interesting because it is not that dissimilar from what you and I have pitched elsewhere. And I think we all agree they needed to reimagine. So we'll try and do that tomorrow on here in the Ring of Honor show time slot. And then we also need to figure out what we're doing moving forward until Ring of Honor comes back. We'll see. We'll let it play out. But yeah, there was an invasion.
There you go. Any thoughts on the ROH invasion, O'Neill, since you killed the promotion?
No, I mean, it's cool what ROH is doing to kind of stay relevant and stay topical. They're not just going and shutting down for 3 months, and because you're going to get forgotten about if you do that. So to kind of keep your name out there for better or worse, I think it's good. It's a net positive for them.
Oh my God, This is very positive, isn't it?
Jay Blood says Joe will have a 15-minute banger with Moriarty. Lee then wrestles on Dark for 5 months. Heat. That's about right.
So I'm gonna out my friend the confirmed shoot here. He won't watch anyway, but this rules. He was watching Battle of the Belts and he texts me, "Wait, they're gonna put Seidel and Lee together in a team? It's awesome!" And I was like, "Yeah, man, they did it on TV. There was just no follow-ups. You forgot." And he was like, "That rules." He didn't have any idea that they did a tag match together and they'd done that whole. There you go. You get what you get.
Kay says British Joe, Samoa Joe. Will he be at BDW?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a stream after the
I've heard
destruction
about
last week.
this.
It was just me and the audience. And I was just like, what day are we going to run this promotion on? And like the chat, like Thursday, Saturday. We was like, so I'm going to do a series here coming shortly on Patreon, maybe free. I don't know yet. In fact, Jeremy, this could be our TEW actually.
I was like, what? We got to do a TEW series.
This is
you
good.
know
Listen,
how
like
often when
the only
Joel
reason
and I are streaming, they're like, when's the TEW series coming back?
we're going to do it. The only reason this one I don't think is a good fit is because, well, let me explain the concept to you. I am Eric Bischoff in 1994. Right? I am Eric Bischoff, and the chat is like, Greg Gagne, Mike Graham, and I'm just steering the ship. They actually book the territory by the chat. So it's more of a one-man show because if it's both of us, it just feels like we're, But we should do one. What should we do? Should we do the 4-man thing we had planned last May?
Can we? Do you guys still do the Texas Wrestling Federation, O'Neill?
I don't want to say it's dead, but I mean we haven't done it since before Christmas.
Can you say Texas dead?
No, I don't think we are dead. I haven't talked to Shoot about it in like 3 weeks.
I don't think we are dead.
If I had to guess, it'll come back at some point because I think he genuinely enjoyed doing it, and I was having.
I think that should be the 4-person crew of us 4 with us 3 and Shoot.
God, getting Shoots on Twitch will be.
I know that's the biggest. That's the toughest part. Is
back up the Brinks truck, brother. That's gonna be.
Yeah.
He isn't. I mean, I give him. The channel, Jeremy, that you made way back when we started Patreon, the Joseph Jezza thing.
Mm-hmm.
I logged in and I was like, "Hey, Shoot, here's the login. Rebrand it whenever you get some time." And the next morning I woke up, it was like rebrand complete. It's like the logo, late night grin, the URL. He's incredible, man. But before we've got about 20 minutes here. Gabriel Kidd versus Eddie Kingston. Jeremy, you said you watched this.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't this fucking great, man?
It was so good.
I think it was better than any match on either of the shows we reviewed, and I said that with love. It's not me even being like a critic. Like, how long did they go? 12? 13? Jesus, they kicked the shit out of each other.
Was it that short? It did feel a little bit longer. Like, I'm not saying it felt long at all, but it did.
No, but I don't think it's always. It's like the match you had with Miro.
Right.
It felt longer than it was. It's because they just beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah. My new favorite move is Kingston's eye poke. It's just so fucking
he
good.
did it twice in this match.
Yeah, he did it twice. It's just be getting the shit kicked out, and he's like, yeah.
Yes. Now, Bob, I don't know if you saw this, but did you see it, Bob?
No, not yet. You told me to watch it. I am going to watch it, I think, tomorrow. Yeah.
The biggest thing I think we can all agree on is how damn watchable King is. Like, if you listed all the best wrestlers in the world, is there one that's more fun to just like put on and watch than Eddie Kingston? Like, bless those dudes that do the long matches. This match, you could watch this match front to back like 4 or 5 times and pop every time. He was battering Gabriel Kidd, man. Those chops. Oh my goodness. And the place, and Jeremy, I think this probably was lost on you, so I don't think you watched the rest of the show.
No.
However many people were there, maybe it was 200, maybe it was 3. They were there to see Eddie Kingston and not anyone else because they were dead fucking silent for the rest of that show.
You told me that of like, the crowd didn't, because as we discussed that the way they shoot it is kind of weird. It makes it feel like they are shooting it in an empty arena, but you can obviously hear people making noise and everything. Mm-hmm. And the crowd was very lively for this match, and you said they weren't very lively for much else on this show.
They came up for Eddie Kingston. I mean, he's so great in this role of like television star that travels and actually works hard in your, for your promotion. Some of those matches are going to get lost, obviously, because not all of them are New Japan strong, but like, it's pretty much impossible because of all of the politics and shit. But like, if you had both of those wrestlers on your roster, that's the kind of match you could build the territory around. You would run that match back every couple months, and Kid would take it a little bit further every time. And then eventually, in match 5 or 6, maybe, Kid would get him and beat him, and it would be like a big deal. That's impossible with everything that happens. He's an AEW guy. You don't know where he'll be in AEW in 6 months. But it's just, he is a great reminder. I know no one needs me to put over Eddie Kingston, but seriously, a great reminder of how simple wrestling can be if you do it well. You don't, but you can lose sight of that sometimes. Here is a dude that's over on TV. He comes through, works a young guy that has some physicality and intensity, and he's a big enough deal that he put him over in, Kid grew in defeat, basically.
Yeah.
Easy pro wrestling, great match. If they had one of those every week, New Japan Strong would be watched by more than 25 people,
This match got a lot of buzz, though.
Yes.
Like I told you, this was the match people were talking about coming out of the weekend, and this is the match that you told me to watch that I did, and it seemed like it was the match of the weekend for a lot of people. It was for me. I mean, we watched all of these shows. Joseph, I think you agree that this was the best match of the weekend. There were some good matches this weekend.
Yes.
But Eddie Kingston, bless him. We've discussed this before. The CM Punk match was the best example where before the match, people were like, oh, then the belt, it's not going to be good. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to, it's just like, they're going to have at worst, just a good, hard-hitting match that is going to be very tough for them to fuck up because they're really good. And then, of course, they turned in a match that literally broke the spectrum of what I consider a wrestling match nowadays, where I didn't even consider it a wrestling match. It was that different from everything else that I'd seen last year. Like, that's Eddie Kingston, though. He's just going to go out there, and he is going to bring that Japanese style to the King's Road style to America, and he just does it so well, and it is so different from so much that you see on television. Yes. But fuck, he's so incredible at it.
Yeah, he's really interesting, right? Whatever setting you put him in, especially now that he's over the way he is, he brings Eddie Kingston wherever he goes. Yeah. And that sounds dumb, right? But that's actually quite rare. It's the equivalent of, to his credit, I think this is a good example. You remember when Omega would work the Impact in empty building? It'd be like, you know what? Somehow, some way, this actually does have a big fight feel. And it's like, that's a credit to Kenny Omega. Eddie Kingston doesn't bring a big fight feel. He just brings a fight.
Yeah.
There's this sense that you're about to see some violence and some aggression. And yeah, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world right now, man. I don't think that's an overstatement at all. He's so consistent. His highs might not be for everyone as high as some other guys have, because he doesn't have the epics. But for me personally, I can get a lot from a 12 to 15 minute Eddie Kingston. And that's where, and we were talking about him earlier, that you can't convince me that Joe hasn't got enough left to go 10 minutes with King. If anyone's going to do it, Eddie will be able to pull that out of him. So he's very, very valuable as Eddie Kingston, man. I hope that this Jericho feud treats him well, because I think we all have, there's two versions of that feud, right? There's one there's one that honestly is really great for Eddie, where Jericho cuts a whole lot of promos about how he doesn't win the big one and he beats Jericho. So that is a big deal. I know we roll our eyes at Chris, but it is. There's another where they turn him heel for the sake of Jericho, and Jericho wins. And, in that case, Fleet beat forever. TNA, let's go, Ring of Honor, whatever. I'm not rocking with that. So hopefully that feud treats well, because right now, one of the best in the world, brother. One of the best in the world.
Maybe that's why I do love Eddie Kingston. He just does have sub 15-minute matches like that, and that's my wheelhouse. Just
okay.
Just kick the shit out of each other for 15 minutes or less. I'm good. That's all I want out of my wrestling.
He's not listed because he's more likely to have the big epic, but Jonathan Gresham isn't a big long match guy. Yeah. He can do a lot in a short. The Sabre match was 12 minutes.
I was thinking of, while watching this match, I was thinking of a Kingston Gresham match, because Kingston, very much power striker and everything, and hard hitting. And Gresham has said it. He's like, that is my weakness. I don't want to get into those striking exchanges and stuff. I feel like they could have just a really great styles clash. That
there is. This might pop you. I'm not sure. There is a match on the award-winning WWF network between them two from Progress. It is not full capacity maximum. But if you watch it, they go about 10, 12. it won't completely fill your kind of what you want. Because I'm the same, but there is enough there to see that you're correct. They have this hilarious match where it's like a cartoon, It's like there was a great review that described it as like Tom and Jerry, like King's chasing after him and Gresham's being a heel, and it's good. So that's worth watching. If you want to see some King,
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it's good shit. So,
I'll check that.
Bob, we were talking about Battle of the Belts before you came on here. Did you see that show, or did you say Fleet Beat?
No, I saw it. It was pretty good.
Do you have a Riho bit?
No, I didn't think of one yet. I'm really.
Can't you just do Reno?
It's a good one, but I like Rio. I want to be positive.
Okay. This is difficult. Let's try and workshop this on the air.
Yeah, it's tough.
I see how this is difficult for you. How much effort you put into these bits usually?
You've already thought about it more than O'Neal has.
Yeah, exactly.
See, the genius of O'Neal is like, if it doesn't come to him immediately, he's not going to workshop anything. It's got to hit him. And if it doesn't hit him, he's not going to spend any time on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds like Bob.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
I was worried about him on Friday, man. Bob, you were exhausted.
I was tired, yeah.
Bob was like this on the air.
That's how it normally looks. Look at him now.
Oracle and I were talking about WCW for like the last hour of the show, and Bob just sat there listening to us. And I was like, Bob, you can go if you want, man. We're just kind of talking amongst ourselves here, So that was good. I have to say, I liked wrestling this weekend. That was fun. I hope that happens more often this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think so far it's been pretty good overall. A couple missteps here and there, but for the first week and a half of the year, we're on a good track.
Put AC Slacker's comment on the screen, please. Bob, give that a go.
Rio, yeah, I can't do it. That was weak. I got to work on it.
So, when you say you got to work on it, how does that, what does that look like? Are you in front of a mirror? Are you, what are we saying here? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, probably just repeat it to myself a bunch until it sounds good.
Just imagine, O'Neal just in front of a mirror, just workshopping this stuff, giving himself a pep talk of what it's going to be like.
Slapping himself in the face.
Yeah.
That rules. Speaking of slapping one in the face, in about 15 minutes, Jeremy, this is an outrageous adventure about going. You know about this, right?
I've heard something, but yes.
Are you ready? This is incredible.
Yeah.
In 15 minutes or so, Bob O'Neal and I will go live with the season series premiere of Fed Red Hot.
That's what it's called.
A program in which Bob will lead us through the highs, only highs, no lows, of the World Wrestling Federation. It will be an hour before Monday Night Raw every week until WrestleMania. And then after that, we will, figure out what we're going to do.
It's a short show.
Yeah, we're talking about the best of the WWE.
Yeah.
Don't want to give us too much time here,
like a 5-minute show.
Tonight, we're previewing, obviously, the week ahead, including the grand return of old coat Bliss, who is back doing a character that she was doing before, which apparently is news. We're going to both pretend to not be upset that she is not going to be returning to the character that we actually enjoyed. We're going to both pretend we're actually excited to see her, getting spoken to by a therapist about a doll. We're both going to pretend we're excited for that. So join us, latenightgrin.com. For that show, which could be, frankly, Jeremy, it could be my road to big time money. I'm talking Fox Sports. I'm talking The Ringer. I'm talking Wrestling Inc. That's not so much the money part, but this is the chance for me to start getting some fast nationals, is what I'm saying, and I'm fired up about it. So there you go.
Oh, good luck to you both with this venture. Sounds god awful to praise everything WWE does. Yeah, you guys are going to talk for 5 minutes. O'Neal's going to be like, Brock's good.
He is good, though.
He's on both
shows
so
now. Fucking good. He's tremendous.
Honestly, I'm going to be completely transparent with everyone. Him being away made me forget how great he is.
Yeah.
It did the opposite of what you'd expect, where I was going, who cares about Brock? And then I watch him on TV and I'm like, oh my God.
It helps that he actually is doing something new, and it's not the same Heyman heel shtick that he's been doing for literally since he returned. Everything I know he is back with Heyman and stuff now, but he's
you're right.
actually like talking for himself, which is good. He's so tremendous, though. He's so good.
He's just presence is different level. I mean, he's on his own level altogether. Let's be honest. He's he's a throwback in that he feels like a true megastar, a true attraction.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, that isn't like as common nowadays. Right? There's a lot of good wrestling, but there's not so many big time stars. Brock, big time star for sure. Bob, any preview for tonight's Fed Red Hot to get people excited and give up their $1?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Brock Lesnar a lot. Maybe we'll look ahead to the Royal Rumble slightly. We got some announcements for that a couple days ago. I know you guys talked about that a little bit on here, but we'll dive deeper into that. We're going to look at Monday Night Raw tonight. It's a big night going up against the national championship game. We'll see what they bring to the table.
Hang on, are we going to do ratings talk too?
No.
they're going to get destroyed. Who's your pick in the national title game, O'Neal?
Alabama.
Yeah, of course you're going Alabama.
That's Conrad's team, right?
It is.
Is that Conrad's team? Who are they playing?
Georgia.
That's who I've got, Georgia.
You're rocking with Big Billy Goldberg's team?
Yeah, in that particular battle, I'll take Goldberg. Yeah.
We're going to look at NXT 2.0, which kind of has a new feel to it yet again after a couple new champions last week, and keep going with SmackDown.
It's the same fucking show that it's been.
No, it's got new champions.
Bob
I know it's got new
pulled his
champions. It
punch
doesn't have
there.
a new feel to it. It's the same shit.
Here's what Bob meant to say, which has a slightly different feel to it this week after the firing of 25 internal employees.
I thought we were keeping it positive, man. Come on.
I know, I get it. We're just never going to reference the firings. Just going to be like, not sure
They
where
don't
they've
either,
gone.
so.
Yeah. The NXT GM, William Regal, has not been seen in some time. There you go. By the way, we did review Hard Skill. It's worth saying. It was nice to have a different voice on commentary, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
Tom Hannifin's really good too.
He did a good job. I've never been a big fan, but I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say that, the fact that he doesn't just detract from the program is probably an upgrade on the last two. I mean, God bless, man. It's hard with Matt Striker because everyone dunks on him. And I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he's just not very good, is he? Not anymore, anyway. It happens. I'll be bad at this. I'm probably bad at it already, Josh Matthews, on the other hand, I think he's very, very bad. So, good to see Tom. Hopefully, he does not trend the way those two post-WWE commentary careers did. And he remains quite good, or just fine, which is what ultimately he is, right? He's fine. Good for Tom.
Kate says positive, try positive. That's a t-shirt.
My God.
I'll refund you your money for that one.
Him and Bob could talk politics. Striker? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks, yeah.
Seems bad.
Okay, I take back what I said. Maybe he's not a good guy. I don't know. Listen, man. I'm fired up. This Wednesday, free Dynamite review, which I may not even be able to promote on this platform. That's fine, right? I don't think I'm worried about my viewership. It'll be fine.
No, I don't think so either.
I'm going to review Dynamite. I may do it on my own. I haven't decided yet. I was just thinking about it a lot, and thanks to everyone that reached out about doing a Dynamite show. And I was like, you know what, man? Fuck it. Let's just do this thing on the grid, This could be a weekly thing. And because what I want to do, and I texted Jeremy a little bit last week, I am slightly unsure that Dynamite is going to, change. I think it's maybe the new norm, which means it's still a good show of good matches, but I don't think it's going to be quite as, how do I put this? I don't know if people want to hear us talk for 90 minutes every Thursday about the fact that we're annoyed that storylines are vanishing. So it being a Dynamite review show the day after seems counter. So, we're going to kind of use that for more big topics, I think. I'll go segment by segment on the Dynamite Wednesday nights. That's free. And tomorrow we're going to do that show that we talked about, right? With the, rebuilding honor.
Yeah.
Honor
That'd
is
be good.
real.
Sounds good.
Salute there, guys.
Sorry. What are we doing? Saluting?
I did the salute to Ring Away. You don't have to. I just did it. Looked like a political gesture, though, so I stopped it. Do you remember when I made you guys do the one and you were very much struggling, Jeremy, because your thumb is too big?
Yeah, my thumb doesn't work.
Oh, my God. Look at that.
It's a hook. That's what it does. I can't
Hook.
bend it in.
Hook. God bless Hook. Okay.
Man's just living his life,
I was referencing his match with Aaron Solo. I don't know what you're talking about. He's great.
No, true.
I'm big on Hook, man. Isn't he something, Jeremy?
Yes.
Hook.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, did you hear Jeff Jarrett's podcast about Super Clash 3?
I did.
Fucking ruled, man. God almighty, Jeff. He's going to save Great Britain, and it's going to rule so much. I can't wait. Fired up. Anyway, yes, I am excited for King AJ Gray, Mox Homicide. Jezza called that, actually. So
Yes, I did.
Credit
King
to
AJ
Jeremy
Gray is
Lambert.
that's gonna be great.
That should be quite violent, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely watching that show. It feels like everyone's
Yeah.
kind of got to watch that one, right? It feels like an event.
Yeah.
Bob, when is the Detroit show that you're watching?
Friday, I
Yeah.
believe. This Friday.
Incredible what they're pulling off right now, isn't it?
Kevin Nash on the show. Fucking tremendous.
They're just rolling. Like, it feels like there's a new announcement every day that pops me. So good for them. We will cover that when the time comes. But until then, go and join us latenightgrin.com. Sign up for just $1 and listen to Fed Red Hot as we preview the return of one of the greats, folks. Tonight, live. Here we go. USA Network. 8 p.m. Eastern time.
There we go. Bye, everybody. O'Neal, do you want to plug anything?
You follow me on Twitter, Robert O'Neal 31, and go to
Don't do it. Don't do it, everybody.